remember we're trying to play devil's advocate to talk about how some of these things, as much as they are nice, which we share those sentiments, there are some things that we really have to consider. So we've said finances, the person's emotional stability or where they are at emotionally. Do you think there's any other thing that you could say? And I don't know.
As to why they genuinely don't want to get married. I don't know. I honestly, because I think I'll be the longest person to ask this kind of question, because for me, every time I've ever dated anybody, and I could always see prospects in my, like, you're my husband, you're the person I'm going to marry. So there was never a reason, unless you are actually not the person for me. Like, we're actually not in a relationship. Every person I've ever actually been in a relationship, as in call you my boyfriend, it's always been because I see a future with you, and I think we can spend the rest of our lives together. I mean, so I wouldn't know. The reason why I can say finances and emotions is because that's what you experienced and that's what you told me, and so that's what I can say. But other people will definitely have their different experiences and different reasons why their partners are telling them, I can't marry right now. So I don't know. Again, I think that is the honesty and the beauty that comes with this, is to come here and not to claim to have all the answers. I do not have all the answers to this. I mean, we just literally started out on this married life.
Yeah.
The reason why I said this was because we just wanted to like share our experiences and talk, and we never claim to know it all or want to give advice to anybody. We're just sharing our experience. So I wouldn't know the kind of experiences that other people have had. I guess eventually when we are able to have older couples that have had different experiences here on this channel to give us advice, then we can be able to share this advice with other people and say, okay, this person has said this, but for now, we're only going to be able to talk from our limited experience. Yeah. So, and that's okay, I think. If at the end of the day, the motive and the objective of this channel is still being met, I think that's okay.
All right. I was just curious to.
So what would you think is another reason?
Like I said, a lot of things are. I've categorized them as the financial and the emotional. But then, of course, when you go to the emotional, you can break it down. Lots of people are worried about the level of commitment it takes, especially from people who we could say come from homes that they haven't had good experiences or seen
Good
marriages,
examples of marriage.
yeah, work out. And I'm talking about immediate examples.
Yeah.
Not like all those people on social media. I used to judge all of you people that a celebrity would break up and I'm like, oh, my hope
There's
in
no
this,
hope in marriage.
you know, and your parents
Father and mother are still together
you know,
after 35 years. Emeka, stop that.
I'm always blown away by stuff like that. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, people have so built up this parasocial relationship with people online.
I swear.
That you
I
just
don't get it. You don't even know them from anywhere.
Anyway.
But they divorce. You're
Anyway.
not carrying that relationship can never work. Your father and mother have been together for 40 years. Calm down.
So
Leave that.
if you're in that boat, I don't care about you genuinely. like you're
boat?
like if you're in that boat of you see celebrities or people online break up and it affects you
That's
in
why
that way.
I really
I
like
don't care about.
That's why I really enjoy the everyday couple, like the people that I see that like elderly couples or even couples that are young, but you can see their relationship is like blossoming. They're not like celebrities or anything. They're not trying to impress you by anything, but you can just see the beauty in their relationships and how their relationships are blossoming. For example, your parents have such a beautiful relationship that I really like. My parents have such a beautiful relationship that I've seen grow over the years. I think our parents have been together for the same amount of years, and it's so beautiful to watch our relationships. We have really good examples of marriage also in the church, although we don't know them personally, but we can see that marriages can last long and blossom and be beautiful.
Yeah.
And we've learned that I mean, haven't lived with your parents and haven't lived with mine. I know for a fact that my parents' relationship was not all smooth sailing.
Yeah.
It had its hurdles, but it was like, we are in this and we are doing it. That's all. Finish, stamp it.
There was
I mean, there's some extremes, but let's not even go there. There's nothing that we wanted to talk about. Jesus, let's leave it for another day.
There are some people who just their life experiences have just made them not to trust people well enough to let them in.
Yeah. And that's so valid. I feel like,
and they are not able to articulate that to their partner. That look,
I don't trust you.
I don't trust you. Like,
it used to be like that.
It's not a you thing. It's a me thing, and I don't trust you well enough to
commit my life to you like that.
I can be your boyfriend.
And I actually understand. I think if you have experienced people and you've seen people in different lights, you can actually understand sometimes. This is like what you're explaining now, saying that some people have just not had really good examples of relationships or good experiences. Listening to people's experiences with relationships, I'm no longer stern when I say, oh, it is black or white. Like for me, my experiences are very black or white. I met this person, he was good to me. We ended up finding out we're not compatible, we broke up, we got separated. I met this other person, he was good to me, we're compatible, we got married. Some people have not had that straightforward relationships. They've had like very, very messy relationships where one day he's cold, the next day he's hot. Today he's lukewarm, the next day he's vomit. Every day is just like a different thing. And so how do you like say there's one way that suits all in this,
There can't be now. Life is more complex.
I don't think there's a one way suits all. I remember I was watching this older couple things where they talk about what's the secret to marriage? And I realized that every single person
had a different answer.
Different answer.
Yeah. But I mean, with that kind of thing, you find a common thread with all of them. One of them, the huge basis for that would be learning to communicate well with your partner. Is a huge. I think if you notice, communication is a huge basis for a success for anything. Learning to communicate well with whomever it is, because even for us, we are still learning how to communicate better in our relationship. Where I was thinking about it even recently, and that when we got married, we used to have more frictions than we do now. We used to have. Why did you look like that?
Because I was thinking about how people talk about like the first 2 years of marriage are the hardest, because definitely you guys like are really at each other's heads.
Yeah.
I don't think our own was so bad though.
We're still
I think it was just mostly because we were living together for the first time. So it's like, why are you keeping this thing here? Move it. That kind of thing.
Again, I mean, it's still on fresh, you know. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it. Like so far, it's been every time anybody asks me, so how are you and Dorcas doing? I honestly, like genuinely from my heart, I always say, is the best place we have been, and it's always true. It's always true, at least for me. I don't know if it's the same for you.
I'll think about it.
And so we learn, and we are still learning. But why I feel like this is working the way it has or it is right now is the kind of open communication, the flow of information that we keep amongst ourselves that is helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, but again, I guess we should circle back to our first points that before you commit to getting married, you have to have in mind. It's a good thing, amazing thing, fantastic thing, honestly. But it's
best decision of my life.
Me too. I'm looking at you.
No. Why do you get me?
No. I'm like, yeah.
Adulting is the best decision of my life.
No.
It's not the best decision of my life. Giving my life to Christ is the best decision of my life. Taking the love of Christ is the best decision of my life.
Wait now. I'm saying I want us to make it come full circle. To say that as much as I mean we're still young, we're still figuring it out, we're still finding it out, but so far so good. We can say that when you want to be with someone, there would always be things that you would have to compromise over, especially now, especially in these days.
It doesn't always have to be finances, it can be something.
Yeah, there's always something. So you have to really, I think maybe our aim of this video is not to play devil's advocate, but just to get people to count the cost.
Yeah.
I think that's a better way to place it. To count the cost of making a commitment like this. There are really good things about it, but it means you sacrificing a lot of other things and putting it helps you put things in perspective. Yeah. It's like deciding to get fit. I can say that from experience because that's where I'm at now. There I know it is really difficult to get fit. It is way easier to become fat. Like I promise you.
I know this for sure.
It's way easier to become fat. You know, it's impressive how easy it is, but it makes so much now to start pushing. I just thought about the whole sermon in my head.
Please,
but
once I was blind, now I can see straight.
But again, you see, because there are narrow sets of things that you have to do. It's way difficult to get to your goal, and you have to stick to certain things. I remember doing an exercise this morning at the gym, and I was like, Jesus. I was telling my friends I was talking about that I'm never going to be unfit again. I can't go through this pain again, knowing that there's an exercise that I used to do easy peasy, Let's go. Let me use the phrase was in willy nilly. Can do it like that. And today it was such a struggle. Like I was physically dying. I was withering away with the weights. And I was like, okay, I can never get it. But again, the point is that, you know, you have to count the cost. I have to count the cost of pushing the weights, eating properly.
Maybe I guess for me also, like, to myself, younger me, if there's anyone like that. I mean, I know you're not younger, but yeah, any age you are. Maybe the other person is counting the cost and you're just being in this Disneyland. Like I was in Disney and you were counting the cost. And so that's why I'm just saying, maybe try to listen to what your partner is saying is their reason for not being ready. And yeah, consider that.
And ultimately, I would say this is going to be like if I may, or Big Brother.
Most people were watching the might even
Are older. But I'm not saying, this is like a okay, no,
just say your own perspective.
like a friendly conversation. Honestly, like a friend just giving you advice. There is no such thing, and we said it in our video.
Time, right?
There's no such thing as the perfect time. There is still no. It's painful, but there's still no such thing as the perfect person.
Yeah.
So you don't have to. You cannot. Don't break your head over one person. Again,
I feel like
we will cry about it. We can cry about it. We can, after the heartbreak.
Oh, you mean like I get it. You don't have. It doesn't have to be that person you marry.
Yeah.
Okay,
we can't.
I thought you mean like can marry anybody.
No. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be that one person. Yeah. The real person for you is the person you marry.
Yeah.
Honestly, like is the person you marry, the person you commit to build that relationship with.
Then how do you even know this? Well, I didn't mute. Let me not even complicate myself more.
I mean, if you ask me that question, I would have a set of answers for you. And
how do you know the one?
Yeah.
Where is it of answers? That's a different conversation for a different.
Yeah. Just summary. Does this person love God? This is my own. If they're asking me as Ozie Momo in a Christian, with my Christian worldview,
does this person love God?
Does this person love God? How are they? What is their character like? Are they kind, loving, patient?
How do they treat people?
How do they treat other people around them? I think these two is the trajectory that would start on. Then obviously you need to have this. Why I believe now more than before that community is important. The structure of community around them, So how are they like in community? How are they? I remember telling you one time that look, you have to look for somebody who you're accountable to. What is their life of accountability
I was
like?
Leave me alone.
What's their life of accountability like? That's also really important because people we are growing and learning. We cannot just be the only authority in our lives. You have to look for someone else who can speak sense to you, each of you, both of you together and separately. So if all these things are not in play, honestly, I would just be like, what? Well, for you to have sanity, you would always need that community, the external factor. It helps your relationship try better. So these are my own.
With these plenty points of ours, I hope you are convinced and not confused now.
I hope you are convinced, confused, and not.
I didn't know the answer of all these questions. It's just God that will help all of us. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Anyway.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you for actually tuning in, giving us your time. We do appreciate it. Thank you for hanging out with us today in our living room.
I'm going to sleep. Can't sit. I'm going to hold you on.
Good night.
Good night.